What's good, everybody? It's me, Tim Keys. And I'm here to show you guys Korg's new VST, the Wavestate. Yeah, this came out a couple days ago. Korg decided to take all the software architecture of the Wavestate and the Op6 and put it into a VST format, which is really cool considering the fact that primarily they have done this with their older units. And so it's nice to see them do this with the current units that's out. And I think the Wavestate is awesome. And yeah, the sheer fact that they have taken the components, the architecture, and have released this in soft synth format for the introductory price of $149, I think is pretty wonderful, if you ask me. Because if you don't necessarily have the funds to buy the hardware unit, you can pretty much get everything in software format, which is nice. If you are somebody that does have the hardware unit and you prefer to program some of your synthesizers in software, then this may also be ideal for you as well. Keep in mind that if you do decide to get the software version and you already own the hardware, then the cross grade fee is like $50. So yeah, you get the best of both worlds if you decide to go in that direction. This product can be demoed, which is what I'm doing right now. In order to demo it, make sure you download Korg's software manager app first, and then you'll be able to go and download the products you want from there. If you already have some of Korg's other products, you will still need to go and download the software manager application just so that you can get access to these products. With that being said, we'll review a couple of the patches. There's some good stuff in here. Yeah, that's a nice sound. One thing about the Wavestate, like the predecessor, the Wavestation that came before it, both these synthesizers implement a technique of sound design known as wave sequencing. Basically, wave sequencing will allow you to hold down the key, and as you hold down that key, that waveform will crossfade from one sound to another. It's similar to wavetable synthesis, except for you're using samples as opposed to using a raw waveform. So with a wave sequence, especially how Korg implements it, you can have a sample that consists of a piano and transitions to a flute, to a horn, to a sine wave, to a spectral waveform, and then back to a bird noise, which allows for very interesting sounds. Also, a feature that's part of the Korg Wavestate, also like the Wavestation before it, is the implementation of vector synthesis, meaning that it will allow you to, go back and forth, if you will, between four different sounds. As you can see, there are four different layers here that you can choose from to make your sounds. And then with the vector knob, you can go from sound C And so from one to another, and as I move this knob, you will hear just very specific aspects of the tone. And as I move the knob to the middle of the vector point, you get all four. And I can modulate. I'm actually using the Korg Control 49 as an old MIDI controller, but I'm actually using that and the vector knob on that to go back and forth between all of these different sounds. You can also just have it programmed into the device itself using this. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, we'll do a couple more sounds. Might be too much for the computer. Oh wow. Let's let that breathe for a little bit. So yeah, there's a lot going on under the hood. And there's a lot you can do with these patches. In this window right here specifically, you can jump between wave sequence and multi-samples. So like you have your layer that you can pick, doom riser, right? And there are lots of options to choose from. Once you pick that, you can go here and basically pick how, nope, that's the same one, rise on up and rise on up, that's the same. So in this section, you're basically picking the wave sequence that you want. If you were to switch to a multi-sample, then you would pick the type of waveform you want to use, be it percussion or a sample or noise. As you can see, there are no shortages. Pardon me. You got a lot of options to choose from. And if I'm not mistaken, you can upload your own samples into the VST the same way you can into the hardware unit. So there is a lot of flexibility. You also have the ability to adjust your filters. You got quite a few different versions here, from your Poly 6 to the MS-20, low pass, high pass, as well as your standard 4-pole, 2-pole, low pass, high pass, band pass, brick, and you get a multi-filter. And you get all of this between 4 different layers. Diving a little bit deeper into the engine, basically you're able to adjust the frequency, the cutoff, and the resonance. And again, you could pick what you want. The multi-filter is pretty nice because it gives you more options to choose from, and that's going to give you a greater flexibility in your sound creation. Go into this window. If you have your wave sequence selected, you could go in here and begin programming various aspects of the wave sequence itself. So things like the patches that you use, right? You want to add more to it. Oh my word, they have the DWGS EP. So you can add all of that. And then you can basically you can change the length of the sequence just by adding. Double click. I don't want symbols. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff here. So you can program various aspects of the wave sequence, from the timing to the type of samples used, to the pitch, to the shape, your gate, and your step sequencer. And it offers a lot more flexibility in terms of how you program those things, even more so than the original Wave Station. Then you go to setup and make adjustments to your basics, like your volume, the key you want things in, if you want to implement aspects of the pitch. I'm kind of going through real quick because the demo is fairly quick. Going to zone and scales, you can go in and basically determine, how much of the keyboard do you want each of the layers to cover. So if you want to do splits, you could take part of your layer and have it cover up to half the keyboard on your left hand side, and then for your right hand side have layer C and D cover that aspect. And if you want to layer other parts of the keyboard, with sounds B and C, you can have it cover the whole keyboard. So there's a lot of flexibility basically in the synthesizer. Then you have your effects, and yeah, there's just a lot here. So let's say you pick your compressor. These are just the options for the different presets for your compressor. Likewise, let's see, your tremolo, not as much there. Your wave shaper, you got more there. So there's a lot going on under the hood. Same thing for your chorus and phalangers and phasers. Korg did a really good job, in my opinion, of providing the user with options. Same thing with your delays. And then you have stuff for your reverb, as well as your master EQ. This part you pretty much do, manually, messing around with your different bands to shape your sound the way you want it. But yeah, there's a lot here. And then you have your modulation matrix. So you can program to your heart's content. Again, there's a lot here. Too much to cover in one setting. And then you have the librarian that's built in. If you're uninspired, you can hit that randomize. I'm not going to do that, because again, I think I'm okay. But let's go back to edit. There's a lot here. You have your 8 macros that you can use to program different aspects of the synth. Of course, it always changes depending on your patch. Let's see. Yeah, that's a lot going on. You get 64 voices of polyphony, so it's not a lot compared to the, some of your hardware units, like some of your Rolands. It's not as much as 129. But when you consider like what this thing is doing, and the fact that the older unit had only 32 voices of polyphony, yeah, that's a nice little jump. So one thing I like about the Wavestate in general is the amount of sounds that it has available in it. There's just a lot here, and it sounds good, and there's something for anybody in this VST. And the implementation of wave sequencing, the way Korg does it, in my opinion, is second to none. And on the other side of that, if you don't want to be bothered with all of the, the daunting task of sound design and sound creation, you could just use it as basically as a rompler. And there's some good patches in there. You got some good pianos and organs and your basic synth sounds that are kind of built in. But using it as a vector synth and for wave sequencing, you could just take those sounds and push them into spaces that a lot of other synthesizers cannot go in. So yeah, I'd highly recommend it. At least check out the demo, and hopefully they fix it up so they allow you to use this plugin or at least demo it in a DAW. I was having trouble doing that with both Reason, Cakewalk, or not both, but Reason, Cakewalk, and Ableton. For whatever reason, when I downloaded these VSTs in, it would not allow me to, upload them into the DAW, which is a bummer because I would totally show that off and put it in the context of music making. Anyhow, yeah, I think this plugin is for anybody. Anybody who's into sound design and creation, or is just looking for a good, unique set of sounds. Competitors that come into play, obviously the closest one would be the Korg Wavestate, because it is the older version of this plugin. It has many of the features. However, the Wavestate has all the patches and sounds of the original Wavestate. So there's that. And for right now, it's on sale for $149. But you can get the Wavestate. I think you can get that on sale cheaper. I've seen it on sale as low as $50. So there's that. Other plugins that come into mind, Bob Papin's, they have their own vector, which you get the 4 points of sounds that you can utilize using the vector knob, but you don't get the wave sequencing that Korg offers. Synthmaster is another one that comes to mind, and quite frankly is overall probably more powerful than the Wavestate, in the fact that it offers both vector synthesis as well as wave sequencing or wave scanning. But I don't know if you can combine the elements of wave sequencing and wave scanning in Synthmaster the way you can in this. But I will say the Synthmaster VST definitely gives you more options overall for sound design. Outside of that, you could go with a wavetable synth like Serum or Vital, but wavetable synthesis is not exactly the same as wave sequencing, and so the implementation is different, especially considering the fact that Wavestate allows you to crossfade between acoustic samples and different patches overall, as opposed to just different raw waveforms or spectral waveforms. So you're going to get a different textural tone. But yeah, beyond that, I would say check it out, demo it, and see what you think. There's a lot here. And yeah, man, for $140, I would say, if you're curious about the Wavestate and wanted to buy it, but the price range was a little bit beyond what you wanted to spend, I would definitely check this out. That's all I got for today. Thank you for watching this video. I'm Tim Keys. I'm out. Have a good one. Peace.